Welcome back, guys. In this video I will show you how to read data from a table using PHP 7 and MariaDB 10. To do this, I have already connected to the database with VS Code in the file called db. The link to this video is underneath, and we also created some elements in the users table. The link is also underneath this video. Let's create a new file. Let's call it read.php. This file will allow us to read data from the users table. So the first thing we need to do is we need to connect to the database, and therefore we just connect to the db.php file. This db file contains the connection to the database, and I show you that the connection happens inside the db variable. Once we're connected, since we're going to interact with the database, you must put a try catch. It will make your life much simpler when you are developing, and we're going to get an exception. We call it EX. Let's just echo EX so we can test it. Right away, I'm going to go to Postman. I'm going to create a new request, and this is going to point to localhost read.php. Now we don't see any errors, and that's good. Once we have created the connection by using require once db.php in line number 2, we need to create a query, and this query will say that the database has to prepare a statement, and the statement will just say select all from users. I will show you how we test this with several different options. So we're going to execute the query. You don't need to do an if-else statement because we are using inside the DB this error mode exception. So if something goes wrong, the system will automatically take us there. So you don't need to check if this is executed correctly or not. Once we have executed, let's just test it for now, one line at a time. We are going to grab the data, and we're going to say that the query is going to fetch all the data for us, fetch all. And we are going to just show you, I want to show you what we get inside this data. So I'm just going to echo, and we're going to JSON encode. You can also use prinr, or you can also use var_dom if you want it. I'm just going to use, that does a function, so just so you know it. But I don't want to use them. I just want to echo JSON encode the data. So if you want to try this, you can just prinr data or var_dom data. You don't need to do the echo. It will look exactly like so. That will be one line, and that will be another line of code. Let's save it, test it. Now you can see that I get an array with JSON objects. I get the ID, the name, the email, and the password. So I will put here a comment, and then I will say that this fetch all is giving me an array with JSON objects internally. Every object has its key value per set. So what's the difference between fetch all now when we use this fetch object, or when we use a different option that is called assoc for associative array? So this will be associative. So I will show you what the difference is. I will comment this out. I will save it. And by the way, I have not reloaded this. So we just quickly grab this. I will copy it, and then I will paste it inside this data field that we had. So if we use the method called fetch object, let me just copy that. If we use the fetch object method, what we will get out is this array with JSON objects. Copy that, paste it. I will delete most of them because we don't need all of it. You understand what I'm doing. So this is just a comment, so we see what we get out. Now we make a change, we comment this line out, and then we're going to fetch it with the assoc fetch associative option. We are going to save it. Let me delete this, we don't need it. And now I'm going to put a comment, and then I will say, if we use this option, remember the previous option is commented out. So what do we get out here? I save, we test it, and you will see that you get the exact same thing. So we'll copy this, and then I will paste it right there. We got the exact same string array of JSON objects. Now, what's the difference? Well, there's no difference when you output the data in this way, but there's one huge difference when you want to use the data within PHP. Let's go back to the first way of fetching the data with the fetch object. So we'll comment this out, and we have the fetch object ready. We save it, and then we test it again. Nothing has changed. If you want, for example, to display an echo, let me just take this away now. If we say echo and hi, and then we want to display the name A, which is the first element, so we say from the data variable, I would like to point to the first object, which is in position 0, and then we would like to grab the name. This is the pointer to the key called name. We save and we test it. We see the word hi A. A is coming from this key value pair, and this points to the JSON object. Now let's make a change. This here works with PDO fetch object. I'm going to make a change in the DB connection. I will not fetch it as an object. I'm going to fetch it as an associative array. We save, and then we test it. Now you can see that the system fails because it's trying to get the property name of a non-object. In this case, this doesn't run anymore. Let me duplicate this line so you can always see what I did before. But this here is not a JSON object any longer because we are using an associative array. So this will be the associative array. And since this is an associative array, you need to point to the key using the associative array syntax. And the key is called name. We save it and test it again. Now you see hi followed by the letter A. These are the difference between fetching as an object or fetching as an associative array. The difference is not in the data that you send to the front end or to an API. The difference is in how you interact with the data within PHP. Which solution you like better is up to you. I probably prefer just to use everything as JSON objects because in the client I do JSON objects, so I guess that in the server I also want to do JSON objects. It's up to you to decide which technique you want to use. So this is how you guys fetch data from a table. You create the query and then you execute it. In the next video, I will show you how we can update data from a table.